Hi, welcome to Nourishing Body and Soul, the podcast. Get ready to revitalize your mind, body, and soul. We're here to inspire women who are looking to break free from old patterns and ideas to create a life of increased confidence and improved health. Say goodbye to limiting beliefs and hello to new possibilities. So kick back, get ready to have some fun, and let's dive in. We'll uncover tools and insights that can help you build a life that's truly nourishing, body and soul. Hi, I'm Tracy.
I'm Victoria.
And we're glad you're here with us on the podcast today. So last week, we started talking about self-worth and talking about self-worth versus self-confidence, based a lot on Jamie Kern Lima's new book, Worthy, and just a great resource for this. And so we kind of left it last week with just an introduction of something to consider and not any tools to deal with it if our self-worth is lower than we would like it to be. So today we're going to talk about one tool, a good place to start for rebuilding self-worth if that's something that we need to work on. So Victoria had asked, so what do we do about this? And this is one of the things. The list is long of things that we can do. So if this is something you're struggling with, don't worry. Don't worry. There are things we can do, tools actually that we can use to build our self-worth and to recognize. And it's not actually, I don't even want to say build self-worth, because our worth is inherent. To recognize our self-worth is a better word. So what we want to start with today, the first tool that we want to talk about is realizing that our past doesn't define us. And that's can be a hard thing to untangle, because so often when we have experiences, especially in childhood, because that's where we form so much of our belief about ourselves, is when we're young.
Yeah.
I mean, it shows up. We've talked a few times before about, for me, it's something, it's not that this is a self-worth thing, but just how we develop our identities as we're young. When I was younger, my hair was growing up. My hair was just a very dark blonde, and to this day, it's been a while since I've been a child. To this day,
Really?
I look at the color of my hair, and it's like, oh, that's because in my formative years, my hair is dark blonde, and so I think of myself as dark blonde. And it's taken me decades to go, I am not dark blonde. My hair is brown. It's not dark blonde.
So it's going to take me decades to realize my hair is gray.
I don't know.
I'm still
if you're slow as if you're slow as I am about that. And I have a friend who
I look back on these, like when I watch our podcast back and I see how gray my hair is, I'm like, I don't know why I don't see it in the I don't know why I don't see it in the mirror, but somehow like seeing it like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, oh, who is that? Yeah, who is that?
Yeah, I have a friend who is 5'1". She's not a tall person. But she thinks of herself as tall because she was 5'1" in 6th grade.
Oh.
When you're 6th grade, 5'1" is tall for a girl. But
it's like one of those dogs. It's those little dogs and they think they're big dogs. My favorite dog is my niece's dog, and he's big. And he's not huge, but he's pretty big. He's, pretty big size. And he thinks he's little. So he'll jump on your lap and like sit on your lap, and he's like 40 or 50 pounds. He's like, sitting on your lap like he's a little dog. He's so cute. I love him.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah.
Like every
self-perception.
Yes. So when we have experiences in our youth, like I've talked about last week and I've mentioned it before, for me, one of the ways it showed up is that I felt like I wasn't heard. My voice wasn't recognized. It wasn't, so that as an adult developed into feeling like I wasn't worth listening to. But really, so me going back and going, okay, where does that belief come from? It's nice if we can identify it, but even identifying it is not a critical part, but just being able to recognize that that's a lie, that my voice is not worth listening to. And so going, you know what, my past, and I don't blame my family for this, because who knows how memory is, it's just whatever the situation was, whether they actually did stomp on my voice or not, that's how I interpreted it. And so when it comes to how we respond to things in that regard, the actual truth of what happened is not as impactful as what we think, what we believe happened, or how we responded to it, because that's what we live with the consequences of. And so for me to be able to look back and go, you know what, that's a lie. That's a lie that I believed for a long time. And so to look back at where, if our self-worth is not great, kind of work back to, when did I start thinking this? When maybe it was in your 20s when you had a really bad breakup from a relationship that you thought was going to be long-term, and the way that that played out, or the things that were said or whatever, made you question your self-worth, or it diminished your belief in your worth. It doesn't, how it happened is not nearly as important as recognizing that whatever our experience has been, whatever it's been, that has led us to believe that we don't have value in overall or in a particular area, it's a lie. Whatever it is, it's a lie. And so to recognize that and be able to go, oh, wait, this is me believing that lie. It's a lie. I'm not going to believe it anymore. And so understanding that when we came here, when we were born with value. Just by nature of the fact that we're here, we have value. So somewhere along the
I
line,
liked how she talked about it, and I
Jamie.
thought about this, Jamie,
Uh-huh.
how Jamie talked about it when she talked about, I don't remember what interview I was watching, it wasn't with Oprah, but she talked about like how all the combinations of DNA, how they combine to make a person be the only one. Like
even
the
identical
only one.
twins.
Yeah, the only one. And if you think about all your, and I've thought about this because, you know, ancestry.com and all that kind of stuff. Like, how many people have to get together for a human being right now, right? Me, and like the chance meetings, maybe, or, you know, how it all plays out, how it has to play out to be me.
It is stunningly improbable.
Really is. If you think about it, you know, you think about, oh, my grandmother met this person, my great grandmother met this person at this point in time, and who even knows, they were in the store together, and that was the feed store, who knows? And so, you know what I mean? Like, how they all managed a chance to come together on both sides of your family, and then be making you, and then, yeah, and how you are the only one that ever has been, and the only one that will ever be. And that's kind of extraordinary.
Miraculous.
It really is. When you think of that, like how you're just the only one ever, ever, and that will ever be. And that, you know, that you're a combination of talents, that you're a combination of even looks, your combination of everything. Like that coming together is just an extraordinary thing. And we should be excited about that.
And I know people who have done, speaking of ancestry.com, who have like looked into family history, or I don't remember which one it was, but you know, some of these shows that dig into people's family history, and they find out that they come from some pretty unsavory characters. And that can be really jarring to people. It's like, oh, well, like so many people in my background did really awful things. And then it causes them to question. It's like, but no, those were their choices that they made. That doesn't mean that still doesn't diminish your value. Even no matter who you're descended from.
Exactly. Well, you're not a blueprint of them. Right. You know,
and
you're a combo.
Conversely, I know there are a lot of people who take great pride in their lineage. And the same thing is true. That lineage does not what gives you your value. You just came with yours. It's just you.
Don't tell me that. My lineage is what gives me my value.
Hate to break it to you, but you just have it yourself.
Oh, man.
So the first tool is to really stew on as much as you need to, or take to heart that your past does not define you. Your past is not what takes away your value or what gives you value. Your value is just there. It's just there. So after our talk last week, you went and looked up Jamie Kern
Yeah,
Heyman.
I did. I meant to start reading the book and I got caught up watching all the interviews and stuff, which was really fun. And
so what do you tell me what you're thinking? This is fresh.
well, first of all, I don't know how I've never heard of her before. That was kind of embarrassing because she seems like she's pretty, like she's right up my alley of people that I would know. So I think it was funny that I had never heard of her before, but I just thought there was so much, like, you know, one of the things that just struck me too is, you know, they were talking about relationships that never happened or jobs you didn't get or anything like that. And then talking about how it's not necessarily that we didn't get them, and how sad is that we were being protected from that. You know, like there's some divine intervention that goes on, like that relationship didn't happen. Yeah, well, that was protecting you for, you know, whatever comes next, or that job. You don't know what would have happened with that job, and you were being, you know, you're being shielded from whatever. And I that was an idea I had never thought about, you know, and it puts things into perspective too. Like, oh yeah, who knows what would have happened if I had that job, or who knows what would have happened if I dated that guy.
Yeah, and sometimes
there were a lot that I was glad I was protected from.
When we start thinking like that, though, sometimes it's like, well, yeah, but it couldn't have been anything bad that happened if I got that job. That was a fabulous job, and I can see all these good things that would have happened. But the reality of it is that that's not reality. We don't know, because it didn't happen. And so maybe it would have turned out spectacularly in some areas, but not in others. And maybe it would have just been a disaster from the start that we couldn't have any way of seeing. So we just don't know. When things feel like rejection, when they feel like failure, we don't know what is on the other side. What would have happened if I would have got the lead in the show? I don't know. I have no idea. Could have been great, could have been horrible. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But anyway, so yeah, these things that, to be able to look at something and let go of it, or just, you know, mine all the wonderful things that we can learn from it, then it becomes a beautiful experience. Even if it's really painful. And that the things that we have experienced in the past, the family that we come from, the neighborhood that we come from, the things that happened to us or around us, they don't define us unless we let them. And they absolutely cannot diminish our worth. They can't. This is I can't say this strongly enough. There is nothing, even if we wanted to rip our worth to shreds, we can't. We can't. It is untouchable. Our value as a person is untouchable.
So it's good to see that. It's good to hear it. There are some actual actionable items, right?
Yes,
because I hear that,
and
my ears hear it. I don't know if my soul always hears that.
And that's where, and it does. I mean, it just takes a lot of work and a lot of self-talk. But that's it. Yes. So the first tool in being able to really hear that and to feel it and to live with that is recognizing, you know, taking some time to look at, when did I start believing the lies that I wasn't of worth, that I wasn't of value? When did I start doing that? And then to recognize that that doesn't define me. Knowing that our past doesn't define us, and that the things that led us to believe that we weren't of value, 100% without exception, are lies. And they're lies that we don't have to believe anymore once we recognize that they are.
Well, that's good.
So that's the first tool.
Yes.
So great stuff.
Really.
Yes.
So much.
And we'll talk more about this and more tools because it's just such a valuable thing. I think this is the one thing. Years ago, I was doing this, I don't even know what you'd call it. But I ended up it was in this group setting, and I ended up doing this really intense exercise, which you do work to get to this point before you do this exercise. But this exercise was literally just somebody standing in your face going, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" Over and over again. And you have to answer every time. And you had the kind of your same face that you're just making. It's like,
Yeah.
And then for me anyway, and I think that this is like how it's designed to go. It's like you get to a certain point when what comes out of your mouth, you know that you just hit what you really, what you at your very core want. When I did that exercise, the thing that I was like, when I hit that, I went, this is it. This is what I want. This is what I'm here for. And it was that I want to feel love, and I want everyone else to feel that too. And so
that's very altruistic of you.
This is what
I think what I want, like $1 million. That's what I want.
Oh, let me tell you, that exercise gets past all that business.
Oh, okay.
So this is what I feel passionate about. I don't care what your belief system is. I personally believe that we are children of God, that we came from God, and therefore, being his child, we have worth. But whatever your belief system is, you may not believe that that's where your worth comes from, but you have worth. You have value that cannot be touched by anything. And if there's some way that I could if I could be Santa Claus and circle the globe, I don't even care if it takes more than one night. It's circle the globe and drop down the chimneys of people's brains and give them this one gift. I would do it for everybody in the world, because there's way too much pain, and a lot of that pain comes from not recognizing, not feeling love, and not recognizing that we deserve that love.
And that love is indifferent to, external power. You know what I mean?
Doesn't matter what your bank account is. It's still there.
Or how many armies you have at your disposal.
It doesn't matter how much you weigh. Doesn't matter how many followers you have on social media. It doesn't matter how big your voice is or small it is. None of that matters to that love, to that value. Please hear this. So there's something for you to think about this week. And I know for 100% sure that nourishes our soul.
Yes. Yes. Body and soul.
Yes. So that's your tool for the week, and there will be more forthcoming.
Yep.
Have a great week.
Have a good week, everybody. Woo-hoo.
Hey, it's Tracy. If this was helpful and you'd like more, follow me on Instagram at tlastel.nourishingbodyansoul, or on Facebook or YouTube at Nourishing Body and Soul, or you can find my website at nourishingbodysoul.com. Hey, if you want to help us grow this podcast that we're having fun doing, like and subscribe.
And comment.
Oh, yes.
Please comment. We will comment back.
Yes, we will. Thanks for tuning in to Nourishing Body and Soul, the podcast. Before we wrap up, we just want to remind you that the information we share in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only, and is not intended for medical advice. While we hope you find our discussions helpful, we strongly recommend that you seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise routine, or any other aspect of your health. We also want to make it clear that the host, guests, and producers of this podcast are not responsible for any adverse effects or consequences that may result from the use of any information or suggestion discussed in this podcast. We care about your well-being, but we can't take responsibility for individual outcomes. By listening to this podcast, you agree to indemnify and hold harmless the hosts, guests, and producers of this podcast from and against any and all claims, damages, liabilities, costs, and expenses arising from your use of the information provided in this podcast. We're so grateful for your support, and we hope you keep listening and learning with us. Thanks.